Hey everyone, so here is another McCain Fourth math video. Today we are learning how to subtract across zeros using the box trick. So you have this checklist in your packet. You can use it to help you if you get stuck, or you can follow along here on the video and I will help you out. So here's this, we've done it in class, use it if you need it, but we're gonna go ahead and work on the homework now, so flip your packet over. All right, looking at our homework, it is practice 4-5. We're going to use the box trick when we can to make it a little bit easier for us. So looking at number 1, the first thing I do is I look in my ones place and I say the poem. I have more on the top. I'm going to circle where I have more. That means there's no need to stop. I can do 6 minus 5 equals 1. Then I have 0 minus 4. This time I have more on the floor. I'm going to circle where there's more. So I have to go next door and get 10 more. So I'm crossing out the 9. I'm taking a 10 away, so it becomes an 8. And then I'm adding a 10 to the 0, so it becomes 10. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 4 equals 6, and 8 minus nothing equals 8 to get an answer of 861. Number 2, say the poem. Now I have 1 minus 1, numbers the same, zero's the game, so I put a 0 here in my ones place. 9 minus 6, there is more on the top, no need to stop. 9 minus 6 equals 3. Then I have 0 minus 3, more on the floor. So I have to go next door and get 10 more, change my 3 to a 2. My 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7, and 2 minus 1 equals 1. 1, 2, 3, kick, add my comma to get an answer of 1,730. Now notice for these first two problems, I didn't have to use the box trick because I didn't have to subtract across zeros. When I went next door, there was a 10 there that I could borrow. But now looking at number 3, you're going to see why I might have to use the box trick. So 0 minus 7, there is more on the floor, so I need to go next door and get 10 more. When I go next door, I have a 0, so I'm going to start drawing my box because I can't take 10 more. I go next door again, 0 again, I still can't take 10 more, so I have to go next door again. Finally, I have a 4, I can take 10 from here. So I draw my box around 4, 0, 0, and I do not draw a box around the 0 that I need to get 10 more for, because that's going to become a 10. So I cross out my 4, I take 10 away, I change it to 3s, I turn to 1, 3. I turn all of my zeros into 9, so cross it out, becomes a 9, this becomes a 9. Now I'm only turning my zeros in the box to 9, and the one outside the box needs to become a 10. So now I can subtract. 10 minus 7 equals 3. 9 minus 5, I have more on the top, so I can put a 4 here because 9 minus 5 equals 4. I have 9 minus 5 again, 4. 3 minus 2, more on the top, 1. Draw in my comma, 1, 2, 3, kick, to get an answer of 1,443. And number 4, 800 minus 139. 0 minus 9, there is more on the floor, so I'm going to circle it. I go next door to get 10 more, and I have a 0, so I'm not going to be able to borrow. So I'm going to need to draw my box around the 8. Put my box there. The 8 in the box, I'm taking 10 away, so it becomes a 7. Change my 0 in the box to a 9. My 0 outside the box becomes a 10. Now I have 10 minus 9 equals 1. 9 minus 3 equals 6. 7 minus 1 equals 6 to get an answer of 661. Let's look at number 5. 1,070 minus 593. 0 minus 3, I have more on the floor, so I need to go next door and get 10 more. There is a 7 next door, so I can get 10 more. I don't need to use the box trick. Cross out my 7, borrow 10, make it a 6. Add 10 to my 0, it becomes a 9. 10 minus 3 equals 7. Then I have 6 minus 9, I have more on the floor, so I'm going to need to regroup again. This time I go next door and there's a 0, so I need to use my box trick. In the thousands place I have a 1, so I can just draw a little box, change my 1 to a 0, my 0 inside the box to the 9. This time outside my box is not a 0, it's a 6. So I add 10 to the 6 and it becomes 16. 16 minus 9 equals 7. 5 minus 9 equals, 9 minus 5 equals 4. And then 0 minus nothing is 0, so I can just leave that blank for an answer of 477. Looking at number 6, 4 minus 6, more on the floor. Go next door and get 10 more. Next door is a 0, so I can't borrow. I'm going to start drawing my box. Right next to my 0 is a 9. I can get 10 more from the 9, so I just need a box around 2 numbers. My 9, I'm taking 10 away, it becomes an 8. My 0s inside the box become a 9. My 4, I'm adding 10 to it, so it becomes 14. Then 14 minus 6 equals 8. 9 minus 9, numbers the same, 0's the game. 8 minus 5, I have more on the top, so I do 8 minus 5 to get 3. And then 8 minus 3, again, more on the top, 5,308. Number 7. 7 minus 6, more on the top, no need to stop. 7 minus 6 is 1. 0 minus 6, this time more on the floor. I go next door to get 10 more. There's a 0. I need to go next door again. I have a 3 that I can borrow from, so I draw my box around the 3 and the 0. Cross out the 3, I'm taking 10 away, it becomes a 2. Cross out the 0, adding, it becomes a 9 because it's in the box. Then this 0 outside of the box, I'm adding 10, so it becomes a 10. Now 10 minus 6, I have more on the top, no need to stop, to get an answer of 4. 9 minus 3, more on the top, no need to stop. I get an answer of 6. 2 minus 2, numbers the same, 0's the game, so just a 0. And since it's on the left side in my biggest place, I don't need to put a 0 there. And my answer is 641. All right, number 8, 523 minus 203. 3 minus 3, numbers the same, 0's the game. 2 minus 0, more on the top, no need to stop. 5 minus 2, again, more on the top, no need to stop. 5 minus 2 equals 3 to get an answer of 320. So sometimes, like in number 8, you don't need to regroup at all if there's always more on the top. Sometimes, like in number 1, number 2, you do need to regroup, but you don't need to use the box trick. And sometimes, like in number 3, number 4, you do need to use the box trick because when you go next door, there isn't 10 more to get. So those are the 3 different ways you can subtract. Let's look at word problem number 12. The first thing that we know we need to do when we see a word problem is bracket the question. So our question's right here. It will help us focus on the important information. How many more laps does he have to swim in order to meet his goal? And let's just focus on the important information and just the question. I see how many more. I know that means that I'm going to subtract. It's talking about Robert, so I'm going to put an R there, so I know I'm looking for how many more laps, also underline laps because that's important, and Robert. That's the important information to underline in the question. So now let's see, I see Robert's name right here. His goal is to swim 1,000 laps, so that is going to be our total. Then it says down here he finished 642 laps. So that is a part that we know, and we're looking to see how many more laps he needs to still swim, so that is our missing part. So not only does it say how many more, that tells me to subtract, I know if I know the total, I have a part, and I'm looking for a missing part, then it means I'm going to subtract. So subtraction, to set that up, total minus part equals missing part. So my total is 1,000. The part that I know is 642. So now I start in the ones place, 0 minus 2, more on the floor. Go next door and get 10 more. There's a 0 next door. I can't get 10 more, so I'm going to underline it. Going next door again, another 0. Still can't get 10 more. Go next door again. Finally, I have a 1. So I draw my box around 1, 0, 0. My 1, I'm taking 10 away. It becomes a 0. My 0s in the box change to 9s. Then my 0 outside the box becomes a 10. Now I have 10 minus 2, 8. 9 minus 4 equals 5. 9 minus 6 equals 3. And 0 minus nothing equals 0. I don't need to put a 0 in my biggest place. Here is my answer, 358. And I look, A is 332, B is 358, circle that. It's not 468, it's not 472. So B is my answer. All right, everyone, good job. See you later.